Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel V. Hill, presented by Superbook Sports. Taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel V. Hill.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's just me in studio today, but don't worry, Jake Shapiro is going to join us here in a little bit because, of course, we have to talk about what's going up in Boulder. If you did not know, Jake is actually a professor up there. Shocking. I know. He does a kick-ass job, though, but he's going to join us because he was up there yesterday, and things are looking a little bit different. Now, of course, that CU would beat TCU on Saturday. Tons of fun stuff to get into. And then, of course, the big trending article that's going around is, of course, Sean Payton apparently has had too many lattes again because he is just spilling all the deets on pretty much everything going on behind the scenes down there at Dove Valley. You guys, there's so much to dig into. And then, of course, I also kind of want to get into some Chandler Jones with the Raiders drama that's going on. And then Travis Kelce as we'll look ahead to Thursday Night Football. I cannot believe tomorrow night begins the NFL season. It is crazy. I am so excited. Good morning to everybody. Zach, let's go Broncos. Absolutely, of course. You guys, but first, we're going to start with the Buffs are feeling number 22 in the AP poll. Now, we're going to get into a little bit more of the Taylor Swift fun stuff here in a little bit when we talk about ticket prices. But Richie and I both yesterday ended the show and we said, I don't think the Buffs are going to make it into the top 25. I'm sitting here thinking, as course as it comes out, and I'm not surprised at all that they're in the top 25. I'm like, why did we think that? What was there that was stopping me from being like, of course they're going to make it in? And I think it's for a lot of people, the heartbreak that has been CU for so long. Good morning again to everybody joining us. Appreciate you hanging with us. But again, what is the heartbreak, I guess is a word to say, of like people just aren't fully buying in. Now, I came on the show yesterday and I was like, you guys, everybody slow your roll, like, enjoy the wins as they come. I still don't believe the Buffs are going to win a national championship this year, but 6 wins is great for this team when they only won 1 previously last year. But what is it, again, that's just not allowing both Richie and myself, and I'm watching, First Take this morning, and Mad Dog is going on and saying, after hearing Coach Prime talk about, if you give kids just a little bit of a spotlight and you give them this energy and everything else, they're going to produce good things. And he's like, well, I'm rooting for Nebraska now because people, like, there's no respect put on CU's name right now. There is heartbreak when it comes to CU, and there is no respect. And it's kind of that mixture of it all where, yeah, they won 1 game. They won 1 big, big game. But now Coach Prime has to go out there and do it again against Nebraska and in an even bigger game, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, it was great that they won TCU, but we've been teasing all week. It's rivalry week for both the Broncos and the Buffs. So again, it was just this, we can't fully buy in yet because we're all worried we're going to get our heart broken and CU's going to look like their normal selves when they go and face Nebraska on Saturday. But I don't think that's the case, you guys. And I'm saying that. And for everybody, too, who's coming at me being like, take off your green and gold glasses, I'm allowed to be critical. But I think what Coach Prime has done up in Boulder has been really good and really solid, you guys. I'm not taking that away from them. I'm just telling the fan base to enjoy the wins because I don't want you guys to all be on this roller coaster that goes up and they lose 1 game and all of a sudden everybody's crashing down and the world is ending, flames are flying, everything like that. I'm curious. Oh, good morning again to everybody. Let me know which game you're more excited for. Are you more excited for the Raiders versus the Broncos on Sunday, or are you more excited for Nebraska versus CU on Sunday? I'm curious because they're obviously 2 massive games. And we're going to get, like I said, to a little bit of Bronco stuff later on. So don't worry about that. But I am curious to see what we're going to see. Nebraska didn't look good against Minnesota. Definitely did not look good against Minnesota. Here was the other thing with CU, though. And again, I'm not trying to take away anything from CU, okay, you guys? So don't come at me and be like, oh my gosh, the CSU Ram, yada, yada, yada. I'm not taking anything away. But now there's tape on what this team is capable of. TCU didn't have any tape to look at. Nebraska's going to have tape, and I guarantee they're going to dissect it. I love that CU is up there saying there is to be no red in this building because we hate Nebraska. We gave Nathaniel Hackett so much crap last year when they were talking about like the rivalry weeks between the Chiefs and the Raiders and everything, and they were like, every week is a rivalry week. No, that's a load of BS. Not every week is a rivalry week at all. You guys try saying rivalry week like 10 times. Matt's probably over there laughing at me being like, Rachel, oh my goodness. No, a rivalry week is special. This week is special up there in Boulder. It is very special for the Buffs. And I love that Prime is buying into it, being like, no, you will not wear red in this facility because we hate Nebraska this week. I'm 100% here from it. Okay. Seeing lots of people, Raiders, CU versus Nebraska, CU versus Nebraska. More excited to see how the Broncos look under Sean Payton. Now that we know what CU is about, I love that. Broncos, it's time we see the new Sean Payton era. Love that. So keep those coming because I'm definitely intrigued to know which game more people are excited about. I feel like a lot of people right now are saying Broncos, but mainly because we don't know what the Sean Payton era is going to look like. We've seen what the prime era is looking like. And I think that puts the pressure a little bit on Sean Payton too, of like, we don't really know what it's to look like. It's going to be fun on Sunday regardless, and I am super excited about it. All right, let's move on though, real quick before Jake gets on here, because again, I want to talk to him about life on campus. Like, I cannot wait to see it. But it's this don't be satisfied mentality that we're hearing about from Shedeur Sanders. And I'm not gonna lie, you guys, when I see Shedeur take the podium, I think he's so fun and he's got this like vibrant just energy to him. I think it's cool. I think he understands kind of the role he has because he is the coach's son, but I think he's done a really good job of handling that pressure. You know, he says very few people have his phone number. He stays off social media during the season. He doesn't want to hear all the talk because sometimes the talk can fill your head a lot and you don't want that. You don't want to get a big head. But the coolest story I feel like that came out of it was definitely, and I'm going to let him tell it too, the fact that he got a very special text message after the game on Saturday. Take a listen.
Working with Tom, it was just talking to him and understanding, okay, how to improve each week. He texted me after the game, don't be satisfied. Like, it's cool. So it was cool hearing from him, knowing he's still watching and stuff like that. But just working with him, it really helped me just understand, don't focus on the good things. We did that. That's not innate. We're going to do that regardless. Focus on the bad things. Focus on the things that we wasn't able to do at a high level. So improve that, then you got full armor everywhere.
Awesome is it that Tom Brady is the one to text Shedeur. And you guys, I'm going to talk to Jake about this because I think we're going to see a ton of celebrities up there on Saturday in Boulder. But it is just really cool and kind of special that, you know, Tom Brady, a GOAT in the NFL. Honestly, I'm curious too. Let me know in the comments if you believe that Tom Brady is the GOAT. I think he is for me. I know there's some debate up there from some of the past, you know, maybe older quarterbacks, but Tom Brady for me is the GOAT. I've watched him do amazing things. And for him to text Shedeur and say, don't be satisfied, I think that's so cool. And Shedeur obviously kind of touched on it of like, you can't be satisfied. You got to look at the things we didn't do well and how we can increase that to the higher level. Super cool. I'm very going to be very curious if we see Tom Brady out there on Saturday. He's of course now like roaming around all over the place. And now that he's like a partial owner of the Raiders, it would make total sense for him to be in Colorado this weekend. See you Nebraska on Saturday, and then just stay down here in the Mile High City for Sunday for the game. I think we're going to see Tom Brady down there. Mark that on like your bingo card or whatever we are going to do. But we will bring in Jake Shapiro here in just a quick second because the prime life is in Boulder, you guys. As you can see, Jake had tweeted this out. Like I said, he is a professor up there at CU. And he tweeted this out and said, first thing you see walking into the bookstore at CU Boulder right now, and it is these sweatshirts, and it says, ain't hard to find. And the prime life is in Boulder, everybody. So we will bring in Jake Shapiro here in just a quick second. Gotta get my earpiece on over here, everybody. Jake, good morning. Hello, how are you?
Good. I'm enjoying watching your struggle with the earpiece backstage. It's been
Thank
great.
you. Yes, I'm like, I cannot get this to stay in my ear this morning. That's all right, though. Jake, I actually don't think, have we had you on Coffee Break since you got married? Maybe once?
I don't, maybe once, but here you go.
Here. We love it. He's a married man now. He's also a professor, like I said to everybody up there in Boulder. Jake, what do you teach?
Sports broadcasting, and it's a great class, but let me just say, as a CU person, a Nuggets fan, and someone who got married this summer, I'm having the greatest couple months ever. Like, you have no idea how awesome the last couple months have been. So I'm enjoying everything. And the thing you didn't mention in that picture I took, there's bedazzled gold and black cowboy hats.
I love it.
In the bookstore. And they're only $25, Rachel. So me and you might be having to snag those on Saturday and rocking them because they look good.
Listen, I will only do it because green and gold, black and gold, we have a little bit of mixture. Otherwise, I think people are going to start calling me phonies. You should see my DMs already.
Yeah, I would not be the attitude that you had if Deion Sanders was coaching at CSU and beat TCU. I would be hater number one.
I'm not gonna lie though, it's like because I'm a native to Colorado, I've never got to experience the hype that is college football in Colorado. It's always been about the Broncos. And so it's kind of fun to see it. Now, again, I told everybody yesterday, calm down, don't worry. Like, I don't think they're going to win a national championship, but I still think it's fun to be able to watch them succeed. And I'm excited to experience the hype on Saturday. So I want to get to you. And you actually, I was watching First Take, and I got to give you credit because I'm watching Stephen A. Smith read off all these stats. And I'm like, this sounds vaguely familiar to an article that I read on denversports.com about the ticket prices up there in Boulder. And I was just kind of, I like stopped because I'm like, it's almost like word for word what you wrote, Jake. So I don't know if you watched First Take this morning, but I think Stephen A. Smith got a little bit of info from denversports.com based on your article.
Yeah, these are very expensive tickets, Rachel. And I don't know if you made the Taylor Swift reference. That would be the dead giveaway because the Buffs are feeling 22. They're ranked number 22 in the country, and their ticket prices truly are Taylor Swift levels. I actually can't believe it as somebody who's attended many events at Folsom Field in my life, from Boulder Boulders to, the Grateful Dead concert also this summer, which was awesome. There have been many things I've attended at Folsom Field. And listen, guys, I've been to I was at the NBA Finals a couple months ago. I was at the Stanley Cup playoffs finals a couple months before that. I don't understand why this football game is getting more expensive than any of these other events. Like, yes, it's CU Nebraska, but these have not been good football programs for quite a while. Deion Sanders, yes. Colorado, yes. I'm a Buffs fan through and through. I'd be happy with the Sun Bowl. I'd be happy with the New Mexico Bowl. We have not been at bowl games consistently in a while. Deion Sanders obviously has his sights set on the college football playoff, but in my mind, that's the next year goal. And all this is building towards, hey, there's going to be more teams letting the college football playoff next year. Things are going to change when they shift up to the Big 12. So I think this is all building towards, hey, can we go 8-4? Can we go 7-6? Can we go somewhere like that so we can build on that and get to the college football playoff next year? That's what they're building towards. But for a team that's middling and coming off a 1-win season, to have ticket prices in this game alone be worth $500 to get into the door when you could have attended every single Colorado football game last year for that price, or any single NFL game for that price, probably, and afford the flight to that NFL game and back. It's absurd, Rachel.
The only thing I will say is there are very few environments that you get to experience in your lifetime, like the one we're going to experience on Saturday. Like, that environment is going to be absolutely crazy because it's going to be Prime's first time running out onto the field. Have we heard, is he going to run with Ralphie? Is that even a possibility yet?
He has said over and over that he wants to make it happen.
Okay.
So I'm going to think he does make it happen. We saw him bring out the chair for his foot, which has had some issues at one point during the TCU game. But he did say after the game that he was feeling pretty good health-wise. So I'm going to guess that he's going to find a way to, I don't know if it's going to be a run, but, maybe he's scootering behind Ralphie. But I think he's going to find a way to take the field behind Ralphie.
Bring out I want to call it a moped. It's not a moped. What is it, Jake? People do it on vacation all the time.
Scooter.
No, when you're standing up on it, though.
Oh, the Segway.
The Segway. Bring out the Segway. Let him run behind Ralphie. I'm 110% here for it. And anyone who's like, the tires shouldn't go out there, a Buffalo's going to be on that field. All right, everybody, just let it fly. I would love to see it. But before we went on this whole rant, this is going to be an environment unlike any other. And to be honest, I kind of think it's worth the price tag. If they would have lost to TCU, it wouldn't have mattered. Everyone would have been down in the dumps. But the environment is going to be so crazy. And we had this conversation yesterday here on the show, Jake. Is there going to be more black and gold or more red in the stadium?
Oh, it's black and gold easily. And the way I can tell you that is because a lot of these tickets being sold to get in the door are in the sections in which Nebraska is slated to sit in. I think it's like 118, 119 at Folsom Field. So those are the sections that were allotted to Nebraska as part of their agreement to, have the home and home with Nebraska. But those are the ones being sold. So Nebraska fans are now selling their tickets to CU fans, just as I guess, CU fans have probably put their tickets on the market and some have ended up in Nebraska fans' hands. But I'd have a hard time showing face as a fan after talking all that smack all offseason and then coming out in game one and your first play is a quarterback sneak that goes for 1 yard on your own goal line and you end up dropping a game on a last-second field goal after blowing a lead. Like, it's hard to show face after that. So I have a hard time believing a lot of Nebraska fans are going to show up. But what I will say is this is the earliest game in the history of Folsom Field. 10 a.m. is an exceedingly early kickoff. And I have complained in the past about noon kickoffs because I am not a morning person. Okay?
He is not, everyone. He's definitely not a morning person.
And that's okay. But 10 a.m. is crazy for a kickoff. And that is an advantage for the Cornhuskers who play in a different time zone 1 hour earlier than us. So I thought when the game was initially announced, this would be a big advantage for the Cornhuskers. Now that I've seen the Buffaloes in the same time slot a week ago, just absolutely play to the strengths of their team against TCU, I think that they'll be fine. The problem is, if I'm Jeff at the tailgate over there in Fair and Field, what time am I making my sausages? Like, am I doing it Friday night? Like, am I heading out there at 6 a.m.? Like, what's the tailgate scene actually going to be like at CU? Because it seems ridiculous. Rachel, you and I could end up getting a fine for a camping ban up in Boulder right now if me and you just simply tried to do the tailgates with everybody else.
Typically when I think about, okay, like I'm going to have something to eat before the game, I'm like, all right, like a sandwich or something. No, I'm thinking about breakfast. I'm like, okay, what am I going to pick up? And I have to pick up a coffee because we're probably going to be up there, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be super early.
Not early, Rachel.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Well, what are all the celebrities going to be doing too? Because Jake, we're hearing there's going to be a ton of them at this game throughout the season. Stephen A. Smith this morning on First Take was like, as long as I get my VIP ticket, I'll be up there in Boulder. He's like, I can't sit down there with everybody else. But if he gets his VIP ticket, Stephen A. Smith will be in the building. You think we see Stephen A. Smith, Tom Brady, any other names you got flashy for me?
Well, that Brady shout by you was a great call based off the Raiders connection, especially because we all know he's the backup quarterback for the Raiders. So, he's got to be right there and ready to go. But
get used to the altitude.
I think we'll probably see Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg's been very involved with Deion Sanders, unless he's got a little 8th grade football thing like James Marilat. We've also got Lil Wayne, who's been all around CU's football program. Uncle Luke has been around CU's football program. So I think we're going to see some big time celebrities. Stephen A. thing is funny because the VIP tickets at Folsom Field, the sideline is actually too small, even for the benches in 2023. So if you have a VIP ticket, you can go on the field in the corners in the end zone. And then if you're trying to go from end zone to end zone, you'll notice this if you go to a game at Folsom Field, the photographers and all the celebrities have to go into the stands and then go back out onto the field. So the VIP situation at Folsom Field is actually better if you're up in the skybox than if you're on the field. So I don't know if Stephen A. knows what he's asked for. But I would, if I were Deion Sanders and Michael Irvin and Stephen A. Smith are saying, hey, can you get me these tickets, bro? I'd be giving these guys the tickets because these are people you want megaphoning your program. And the way Colorado's program has been megaphoned over the last couple months, we're talking about Deion Sanders as the guy potentially is being the first coach ever to get 25 out of 25 5-stars. Like we like some crazy stuff is happening. Crazy.
It really is. And when you kind of take a look back, you just see all of what Prime has done and how many people are buying into it and how many recruits are now talking about Boulder and et cetera. And it's just creating this long, I don't know. It's like a crazy story. It's like a Cinderella story for Boulder. But I saw somebody who said people are already thinking Coach Prime won't last more than 2 seasons at CU. I hope he stays for the long term. Do you think the more success he has, the less time we have with Prime? I know that sounds like a silly question, but do you think if they win 6 games this year that he's like, all right, I'm out, I'm going somewhere else? Because it feels like he's really bought in.
I think we have him for 2 years no matter what. Because if Shedeur transfers now, he'll have to sit out a year.
True.
So Shedeur is going to be a Colorado Buffalo this year and next year, then go to the NFL draft. Same with Travis Hunter. So I think we've got Deion Sanders for at least these 2 years. what's really interesting to me is if he wins, I had him winning 3 to 4, maybe 5 games this year. If he does that, and then he won like 7 to 8 games the year after that, just be very conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Mel Tucker got a job off 5 wins in a single season at Colorado and Michigan State, one of the biggest programs in the country. So if he did what I just said, he is easily a top candidate at Texas A&M if things continue to go south with Jimbo Fisher, or Clemson if things continue to go south with Dabo Swinney. Like, we're talking about big time jobs for Deion Sanders. But let's say it goes the way it might be going right now, which is they win 8 games this year and they're fighting for a college football playoff the following season. Why would Deion Sanders leave Colorado if he had just coached the Buffs to a college football playoff? We're talking about this program having a crazy amount of cash on hand to offer him another extension in which he gets paid even more money. And then at that point, well, he's got the money. He's got, the establishment here at Colorado. He's proven he can get to the big time games. So why would he leave for the SEC? The answer is, well, maybe he just likes living in the South a little bit better than Colorado, which I couldn't blame him for that based off the way he was raised. And secondarily, would he leave Colorado to try and get an NFL coaching gig with his son? Those are the only 2 scenarios in which I see him leaving if Colorado reaches the college football playoff next year. And I think, again, that was outlined as goal number 1 for Deion Sanders internally for year 2. And I think they're on track to achieve that goal.
Okay, sounds good. How'd you feel about Shedeur and the TCU backstory of how he felt disrespected by their OC down there?
It's funny because these athletes will find any way to feel disrespected or the underdog or whatever. Like the Nuggets felt like the underdog for most of the championship run. And truly, like, a lot of people picked against them. They were the number 1 team in the Western Conference, Rachel. They weren't the underdog. Like, they were the underdog to the Suns by odds makers and whatever. But, like, by record, there wasn't really an underdog. And I liked Nikola Jokic in the finals just being like, no one's the underdog between the Heat and the Nuggets. We're here. We're in the NBA Finals. We're the 2 best teams in the league. This isn't a thing. Shedeur had a lot to prove, Rachel. I don't think that the noise of the offensive coordinator from TCU snubbing him and recruiting or whatever was really the catalyst. I think at the end of the day, if you really talk to Shedeur and got down to his mentality, he wanted to prove it to everyone, including himself and his dad, that he could do it at this level and be great. And guess what? He had the greatest single passing game in the history of Colorado football, which, has been a joke for the last 20 years, but is a really proud program historically.
Hell yeah, Jake. As always, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for hopping on with us for just a little bit here on Coffee Break. Jake and I will both be up at the game on Sunday or Saturday. Broncos Sunday. Buff Saturday.
Hey,
man, our weekend is going to be so full.
Just because Jedi said this, he said multiple times he would never coach in the pros. Deion said that. Deion also said multiple times in the last couple of years he would never have a relationship with Nike again. So things change.
Things change. All right, Jake, appreciate you hanging out with us for just a little bit. Let us know if you're going to the game on Saturday or on Sunday, because I am curious. But there is some Raiders drama with Chandler Jones, everybody. It has been a little bit of a talk on the town yesterday. He went on his own Instagram story and said, although I have going to take that one off right now because there's definitely a curse word on there that I did not bleep out. But yes, there is some drama going on with Chandler Jones because he says he doesn't want to play for that head coach or that GM over there. Is this going to be a benefit for the Denver Broncos is kind of the question. I say absolutely yes, because who knows if he's actually going to suit up. You look at their depth chart, and he's technically still the first one there. You can see, obviously, defensive end down there, number 55, Chandler Jones. Okay, so are we actually going to be seeing some Chandler Jones on Sunday? He says he can't even get into the Raiders facility. He's not even using their gym. But is he going to suit up? I don't know. But if he doesn't, that's great news for the Denver Broncos. Now, the question is, if he's not into the facility, he's not obviously talking to their GM or their head coach, is he going to be ready to go? And sometimes when you're in between and you don't know what to prep for, that can be kind of a bad scenario for the Denver Broncos. I have a feeling that they're going to plan to play Chandler Jones, but at the exact same time, who knows what's actually going to happen if he shows up. I think it's a really weird situation. I think anytime that players tend to take it to social media, I'm like, all right, there's clearly more to the story. Now, he did take it down, everybody was saying, but still, it's like, did your agent call because they're like, hey, you're going against something in your contract? Like, why are we taking this down all of a sudden? It's definitely an interesting question. And then the other thing is obviously going to be Travis Kelce, just looking ahead to tomorrow night's game against the Lions as the NFL season opens up. You guys, I'm so excited. I'm so freaking excited that the NFL season is here. I'm happy football is back. I'm excited for it all. But Travis Kelce has a bone bruise. They are saying that his ACL is intact. That was the scare of us yesterday. But it is good news if you're a Chiefs fan. I don't know if it's a Broncos fan. I never like to root for injuries on anybody because I think I want to beat a team that's full strength. So if you're looking at the Broncos, I'm always like, all right, I want to be able to beat a team that's full strength to know how my own team looks. Some people disagree with me. They say, give me all the injuries. We'll take it. All I want to do is win. I say I want to beat a team at full strength. It's like in the championship. It always breaks my heart when a star player goes down or anybody really goes down and you're like, oh, well, is there a little asterisk because, oh, you beat him because so-and-so wasn't there? So I hate having that. I just want to beat whoever it is at full strength. When you guys saw that Travis Kelce went down yesterday at practice, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Put them in the comments for me because I do think it's kind of fascinating. A lot of people were like, oh boy, is this like a sign for what the Chiefs had? Obviously, they're dealing with all the Chris Jones drama as well over there. And now with Travis Kelce, is this kind of just like a season for them, not going to look good? Again, let me know how you're feeling about Travis Kelce and Chandler Jones if you think he'll play come Sunday. Giovanni said, I'm sure Chandler Jones isn't the only Raider player feeling that way. Players usually have each other's backs. That's a really good point, and that's very, very true. We also know that Josh McDaniels hasn't been, I've heard Nate Jackson talk about his relationship with Josh McDaniels when he came and took over for the Broncos, and he was like, yeah, it was like, I got released by them and I just wanted a phone call back from Josh McDaniels to like ask him like what I didn't do. And he always got told like, oh, he's in a meeting, and essentially never got a call back. We know Josh McDaniels essentially hasn't been the greatest people person, I think we could say. So it's not surprising that they're seeing some issues down there. And again, if we just look at the Raiders owners, it's not surprising either for that say. So keep the comments coming, you guys, because I am definitely loving reading all of them. Hope someone rocks a Jokic jersey for all the ESPN folks. That is actually funny. People are hating the Raiders in the comments. I won't put that one up, but the Raiders have been our hated rivals since the 60s. I understand the hate because obviously the Broncos weren't very good in the 60s and 70s, and the Raiders were dominant and were obviously just beating the crap out of them. So I get it. I get that people hate the Raiders. I love that there's a rivalry going on when it comes to all of this. And you guys know what else I love? I love that Sean Payton is taking control. I really do, because he has an article out. And again, like I said, he's having a few too many lattes again. But according to ESPN, Broncos coach Sean Payton told QB Russell Wilson that to salvage his career, he needed to focus less on Russell Incorporated. I'm not going to read the quote, but says, you're not running for public office. I love this. I love that Sean Payton has come in and said, you're not running for public office. The logo essentially on the shot or on your helmet, on the back of your jersey, or on the front of your jersey, that's what matters here. Your personal name, the name on the back of your jersey, that doesn't matter, because who writes your checks? The one that has the logos. And I like that. I like that Sean Payton came in and said, Russ, you want to be fixed? Fixed. I'll put that in quotation marks. Stop worrying about everything else. And I blame the marketing side of him because I get it. I'm sure his marketing team was like, all right, it's a fresh start. We can launch everything. You're the biggest name in Denver sports right now. Looking again at last year. Let's take this time to absolutely launch another brand. Let's put your stores out there in Cherry Creek Shopping Center. Let's put one in the airport. Like, let's just go in and do everything correct and, blow your brand up. And of course, he's also married to Sierra, a huge name in the pop culture world. So they're seeing him like, hey, we're the same. We're 1-1. Let's do that. No, Russ, I know you wanted to do that, but you represent the Denver Broncos and you have to put the rest of that aside. Running a business has so much stuff going on in the back end where he just needed to focus on football at the end of the day. And I'm really glad Sean Payton came in and said, you know what? Russell Incorporated, it just needs to go away. And we've seen that a ton. We've seen how he hasn't been posting all of his hats on social media, and so many people have given him crap for all of that. We've seen all of that go away, and it's been a more quiet offseason for Russell Wilson. You guys, the season before, like last season, we saw so many videos, like every single week going out, and we've seen a few of him working out and such. I don't mind that kind of stuff. I just saw a Joe Burrow video the other day. It was really cool. But they all do that. They all kind of showcase themselves on social media. So it's not surprising. But the rest of it needed to be silenced. And I think that Sean Payton coming in and saying, I'm going to control this. This is what's going to happen. If you want to win football games, then absolutely let's shut this down and let's win football games and let's put you back on the right track. That salvage your name, I think, is actually really important, because I think if Russ would struggle for the next 2-3 years or however long he was going to play, like if they win 3 games this year, Russell Wilson's not going to be the quarterback of the Denver Broncos. They're going to eat that cash. But if they win, I don't know, I've been saying purgatory is like that 7-8 win where it's like, all right, Russ, is that the best we're going to get out of you? Or, is it just time we let you go and we try and just eat the money and find our next QB? It's like purgatory. But say they do go out and shock the world and they win 10 games or whatever it's going to be, Russell Wilson will be staying in Denver if that happens. And then it's like, all right, that's going to change the trajectory for his Pro Football Hall of Fame career. Because if he sucks, you guys, I think that could really affect his chances of getting in. Despite what he did in Seattle, sometimes it's all about how your career ends too. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, all the comments and everything. The show was actually really fun. Just me. I appreciate Jake hopping on too, because I love his insight into CU stuff. But love all the comments. So thank you so much for hanging with us. I'm trying to see if there's any other good ones in here. Kelsey is a must start in fantasy football, even given the recent injury. He'll probably still get 7 catches, 109, and a touchdown. Absolutely so true. I know that they were going to test his knee to see how it was going. So fantasy football owners, I know, are freaking out just a little bit with Travis Kelce because they drafted him kind of high. But it's definitely going to be interesting. Russ wanted Sean Payton and knew this level of criticism from him could happen. Glad they appear to have a great player/coach relationship. 110% agree. I love that we're seeing that. And I think that's what Russell Wilson needed, because that's what he had out of Pete Carroll too. And Pete Carroll got the best out of Russell Wilson. All right, you guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me here on Coffee Break for the last 30 or so minutes. I had an absolute blast with all of you, and we'll be back 10:30 tomorrow morning with another episode. Again, we might have a special guest, not 100% confirmed yet, but we might. And for that, I hope you guys tune in tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Get back to work, everybody. We'll see you then. Bye.